All right. Good morning. I'm trying to figure out if I'm standing, Misha, or if I'm sitting. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Whatever I feel like doing. Well, I just want to say good morning to each of you. This is our third day here. We're almost completed. We've almost done it. And we've learned a lot, have we not?
Yes.
Amen. I am Carol Jackson, and I run a program in Memphis, Tennessee called Families Matter. My cohort here is Misha Henderson. She will introduce herself. Did I get that right? Okay. All at once, the name just went right out of my head. And we are doing this presentation together. Normally, when I start a presentation, and I'm going to do as I normally do, I start with, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Whereas Families Matter has been given a tremendous opportunity to do a program called Affirm. A father's involvement really matters. We would not have had this opportunity. And Misha, I decided last night that this is so important. So will you stand? We would not have had this opportunity had we not worked with an organization called Maximus for many, many, many years. There was a lady there by the name of Angela Foster, and DeWanda Porter is in the room right now, April Wade, and then there was a Durrell, I forget Durrell's last name. Dixon. We worked so closely with them that when the opportunity that was going to be presented by the state of Tennessee became available, they looked to Families Matter to provide that piece of fatherhood that they did not have. Maximus was huge within the Memphis community because they were the child support providers. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Angela had done was she had worked vigorously, making certain that Maximus, which was, as I said, the child support provider, making sure that it began to change its look, its name, because it had been punitive. And she wanted it to be an organization of the people, where people understood, yes, there were rules that had to be followed, but they could do it by caring. And so they worked a lot with us. So when this opportunity for a father's involvement really matters became available, she reached out to Misha. Misha reached out to me, and we formed a partnership. And because of that, we get to stand before you today.
Absolutely.
I could not do this, Misha, and I want you to hear my heart, without you.
Thank you.
You have been wonderful. Yes, we've had our ups and we've had our downs.
Absolutely.
But all in all, we made it.
Yes.
And for that, I want to I'm publicly thanking you.
Oh, thank you.
For what you did and for how you coached, how you shoved, how you pushed. But I learned, our organization learned, that there's ways to do things and that we can work together. And so I encourage small organizations, because when Governor Lee announced the organizations that receive this funding, and for you all's understanding, it was a $25 million grant. I say grant, but it's not a grant. It's literally, we're a pilot. A $25 million pilot evaluation that was unheard of. And so we've had to do a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of learning in order to get where we are today. And so I'm grateful.
Yes.
So know that.
Thank you.
I could not be here.
I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being a partner that was on the ground already doing the work in the community. Carol had the credibility and everything that in the community. She was known in the community, and Families Matter was already doing good work. So this partnership came together as a result of that. We're going to move on, but I don't think, it was very rare that you see a state. You heard Commissioner Carter yesterday. He put his money where his mouth is. $25 million just in Memphis, Tennessee. They gave out $172 million, right? But you heard him talk about the $700 million TANF surplus, right? But he specifically with Carol and I and this collaboration, $25 million just in Memphis, Tennessee for this fatherhood initiative, and then another $5 million statewide. So we have reaped the benefits of his vision and his investment in fatherhood. So just wanted to share that as a concrete example of what he's doing in the fatherhood space.
Yes.
All right, so
That's who I am. Did you say enough about who you are?
I'm Misha Henderson with Maximus, a vice president with Maximus, been working in social services with Maximus for over 18 years, and happy to be here with you guys.
And we're so thankful that you all are here, because if you weren't here, we'd be presenting to the chair. So I'm glad that you all got up and came to be with us this morning. All right, Misha, let's do it.
All right. So we're going to cover today, conversation topics are going to be, we're going to talk about the model and the program design. We're going to talk about the problem, the population, and the vision. We're going to talk about our approach and the outcomes that we've achieved thus far. So you heard the team talk about data, capturing the data around your outcomes, that evidence-based data. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to show you guys over the course of the program what our outcomes are. The unique model components, we have some great videos where you get to actually hear from the fathers. The why, which is we sprinkled in some fatherhood facts. We took some out because we know we're talking to people who know about fatherhood and fatherhood facts.
And then we're going to talk about the fear, right?
Yes.
We're going to talk about the fear that comes from child support. That's one of the reasons Families Matter was involved with Maximus, because of that fear that fathers get when they are summoned by the child support office. And then we're going to talk about the co-parenting, because one of the things that's so important within our program is a co-parenting agreement that comes with the co-parenting curriculum that Dr. J supplied us with. And then the lessons that we have learned, because truly we've learned many, many lessons. Go ahead.
This is yours.
Okay. She expects me to be able to read that. And you guys, I can't. Affirm invest in Memphis fathers by building capacity to reduce dependency. We want our fathers to understand that they are valued, that they are valued members of society, and that they are truly valued within their families. It establishes a pathway to the goal of equipping fathers to provide emotionally and financially for their children. In fact, when we first got involved in this particular project, one of the things that we talked about a lot, and I would constantly say, remember to Mike, one of the first things that would come up, because Maximus was looking for the money. And I said, we've got to think about the children. So have the fathers be educated, because I've never known a father who's in love with his children that did not support them. It might have been under the table, but they support them. So let's do the emotional piece first, and then we can get them to do the other piece. Go ahead, Misha, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. One of the things you guys will hear throughout is, you heard Commissioner talk about that yesterday, building capacity to reduce dependency. So you'll hear some of those themes throughout our presentation, because our program is designed and in sync with the Commissioner's vision.
Fact that is TANF. So we're focusing on those TANF things that we are trying to help families understand their responsibility, what they're responsible for. The major point for me has always been, however, and Misha knows this, and all those that work with me know this, is educating fathers so they understand their role within the family structure. So that safety net, what we understand so many times is that mothers have so many classes, they can go and get so much education on so many different topics. Children get educated on so many different topics. However, in so many instances, there's no safety net for fathers. And so we wanted to provide, we are providing, we are being able to provide that safety net so that fathers, they feel that they are being impacted, they're valuable. And we want them to continue to feel that way. So one of the things that we're doing is looking at how we will be able to continue this as we move forward. Because one of the things that happens when we get federal dollars is what? When the dollars stop, the program stops. So we've got to do something now to try to stop that from happening.
Yep. And so the problem when Carol and I got together, we talked about as a team, what are we actually trying to solve and what do we want to bring to the fathers? So we want to increase their earning capacity. And as she talked about, reduce the fear of child support and make sure that the fathers feel valued.
Okay. For a firm, a father's involvement really matters. This was really important that we would dedicate our dollars, and this is how we presented it to the state of Tennessee, is that we would deal with fathers. When we first started the grant, it was 18 to 40. But in recent months, we've been able to increase that to 18 and up. According to my operations manager, the oldest person right now that is I think in the program is 73 years old.
Wow.
So it's 18 and truly up. Low income. They must live in Memphis and Shelby County. They have to somehow be connected to TANF. So someone is getting food stamps or some school project, something that's a TANF related, and they must have an active child support, either pending or active child support case. So these are the eligibility requirements for the program. Now, the person that's 73 years old, I want to have a real deep conversation with him just because I need to understand at what point do we become truly responsible for our children. So next slide.
Vision and
Vision and value proposition. A father's involvement really matters to firm. Our vision is to permanently transform the way low-income fathers are viewed and served by the safety net social services programs. Fathers need support as well as mothers and children. And in so many instances, when that support is not there, it causes them to go underground. Families Matter ran several programs long before Affirm. And what we found is that fathers care. We had a father in one of our other programs that he told me every time he got a notice from child support, he went and he paid up his dues. He was a gang member, so he could go do that. But what we wanted him to learn is that it's important that he continuously stay involved with the child because yes, finances are important, but the emotional piece is even more important.
Yes.
And then that value proposition, building capacity to reduce dependency. We want our fathers to become self-sustaining. We want them to be able to understand. So many of them say, I did not know what I did not know. So what we're trying to help them understand at this point in their lives are those things that they want to know so that they can be better for their families and especially for their children. Anticipated outcomes. Well, there's a lot of them. We want all kinds of things. We want to increase the earning capacity, but I start with increased capacity for healthy parenting and co-parenting. See, we believe that if a father's involved with his child, if we can talk with the child's mother to negate that gatekeeping that we do, because we ourselves are hurt, if we can somehow eliminate some of that, and have them begin to talk to each other for the benefit of the child. We understand that everyone's not going to be in a two-parent household, but it's so necessary that we have that conversation. Then we can help them understand what it means to have that sustained visitation, to function with a co-parent, and to increase that fathering skills, those skills that are so necessary so that children grow up healthy. And then I can't read that one. Can you read it? Second one.
Yeah, so increase earning capacity. So we focus here on, our program is a comprehensive program in that it has wraparound services for the father. So the father gets access to employment and training opportunities. We've partnered with some local training providers. We have a team that's dedicated and focused on building relationships in the community and building relationships with employers. We have a proprietary system that we use where fathers can go into the system to help them find jobs with our assistance. They can look at jobs in their local area. They can go outside of their local area. We help them with resume building. We help them with if they need resources related to child support. We help them if they want to just sit down and have the good thing about Maximus being the child support provider and the fatherhood program was that it was at one point, not anymore, but it was kind of Maximus talking to Maximus. So we could serve as the liaison in the middle with child support and help be an advocate for the fathers to help right size their orders. And as Carol talked about, to really try to educate the fathers about the child support system. And then increase sustained child support payments. This is a return on investment for the state, right? And this is a return on investment for the fathers. And this was one of the other reasons why I think we were selected, is because we're also focusing on returning some of those state dollars back to the state, right? If we can get the father to attach to the family, be connected to the family, be connected to his children, build his capacity through workforce training, upskilling, and providing him that wraparound support, then we know that he will pay his child support more consistently. And the fatherhood training curriculum that we use through Dr. Jeff reinforces that, right? We talk to the fathers in those trainings. Carol's team has the most amazing fatherhood trainers, and you guys will get to see that in the videos that we'll show you coming up. But that connection and them explaining accountability, them explaining their role as a father. So when I say complete and comprehensive program, that's what I'm referring to.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me see. What is Derek? Derek, the clicker is not working.
We love technology.
All right.
It works wonderful when it works.
Yes.
All right. So then the integrated delivery that we do, Families Matter, as Misha said, we were already in the community. Maximus was too, but it was in a different capacity.
Absolutely.
We were already in the community teaching fathers about themselves and different things. Not this particular program, but we had done several other fatherhood programs. So we were already a trusted fatherhood organization. And so then we teamed with Maximus,
Yes.
which actually provided a lot of the systems and some of the other things, the case management things, and just a hodgepodge of different things that Families Matter as a small organization did not have. As I said earlier, when Governor Lee announced the program, announced the 7 pilots that were selected for the different TANF for the TOPI Award, the Tennessee Opportunity Act Award.
Mhm.
What he said was a small faith-based, that's the reason I can still do my faith stuff, because he said it, came out of his mouth. I recorded it, so I have it. A small faith-based organization in Memphis, Tennessee received the grant. So we were there, but we didn't have all the systems. We didn't have all that stuff. And so that is what, we didn't have all those technical items that Maximus
Yeah.
brought to us in order to help us be the organization that we are today.
Yeah, leading Carol leading a $25 million grant. I think one of the key ways that we supported her was through infrastructure, governance, policies and procedures, a system. She knew she was going to be audited, and making sure that we just had a sound foundation. She just went through an audit. That's probably why she's smiling. But making sure that she had a sound foundation and instituting that governance to make sure there was such a large award that we had in place, as I said, the infrastructure that was needed to help support her and through this process. So we also brought in national experts. We're here today because of Dr. Jeffrey Johnson. Yes.
For the room, yes.
We engaged.
Yes.
Yes, we engaged Dr. Jeff and Joe Jones, both as consultants as a part of this project, to give us the guidance, their expertise to teach us, and to really just pick their brains about what has worked, what has not worked, what do they think the program design should look like. And it was an amazing 3 months. The state gave us 3 months after we first were accepted in an abstract, and then they gave us 3 months to plan for our proposal. So
Can
they
you
were
repeat
instrumental.
3 months? I mean, 3 months, just, yeah, 3 months. And then the community, we had
Yes.
to involve the community. So we had to go and find those community partners that would also say that they would support us if we were awarded. So we had to do that. But the major thing was the mere fact that we had Maximus, and then we had Dr. Johnson, and then Dr. Jones.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that was critical for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, integrated services, we've kind of talked about this a little bit. This is kind of what we discussed on the last slide. This is just talking about some of the value of the integration. So I know you guys are tired of hearing us talk. What we want to do now is get to the voice of the fathers, right? We want you guys to hear so the program has been in place for a couple of years now. And as Carol said, we'll get to the numbers. So let me just play the fathers and then we'll move on. Yes.
My name is Dr. Samuel Williams, and I'm a part of the Affirm program. A father's involvement really matters. And to me, that means that each one teach one. If we grow together, we show up together.
Hey, everybody, this is Mike Arnold here with Families Matter Affirm. As we're here today, just had a great session with Channel 5, and we're here at Crosstown Concourse with Sam Williams. And Sam, what was it like for you getting involved with Affirm?
At first, honestly, it was challenging. At first, I came into the program with a lot of anger in the heart. Being honest with myself, I didn't want to admit this. I wanted to quit like after the third day. Being honest, because it's when you have to look within and challenge yourself, like, okay, you pointing the finger at everybody else, but what about you?
Yeah.
You know, it was a little rough at first.
You know, I remember your first couple of classes. You had your dog on.
Yeah.
You were dealing with some things, but I appreciate you because you pulled me to the side and let me know what was going on. And I think that was the breaking point, so to speak, for our relationship. And then also you being involved with the program. So with that in mind, tell everybody, what was it like in terms of we call them classes, but they're really not classes. They're really more like sessions, but that experience, what was that experience like?
The first couple of days, like you said, I wasn't as privy to be a part of it, you know, but as I saw the other young men that were in the class, they talked about their experiences, their situation. It opened me up a little more, like, okay, you're not the only one, dude. Don't be so selfish, you know? So, you know, and as we progress more in the sessions, you know, I started to feel like I developed friendships into family, you know, with the guys and with the administration as well.
Yeah, talk about that, the importance, because I think a lot of times as men, we don't talk.
Right.
We keep things to ourselves. And this camaraderie and bond. Talk about the importance of that. How important was that for you? What was that experience?
It was a touching experience for me, to be honest. Like I said, a couple of the guys that I got real close to, shout out to Mr. McGlass,
Yeah.
Real positive brother.
And I think for men, especially when we talk about having a safe place, one of the things that we always talked about was no judgment zone.
Yeah.
How important was that for you?
That was very important for me because going through our life, just speaking personally, I've been judged, I've been ridiculed, I've been told, you get out to a place where it draws you in to like, I don't want to even deal with that. But when, I got to be a part of something as big as a firm should be, being welcomed and accepted by those guys, and not judged by them, it made me want to open up and ultimately help other brothers out there who don't have that outlet, direct them to the Affirm program. There is a place you can go to seek, asylum within, know.
Yeah. And I think that's important because when you talk about mental health, we talk about just the pressures of life. And as men, we carry that burden. And being able to be with like-minded men, how important was that for you to be able to connect with other guys?
That was important for me on the level of I learned some things, like being around the other guys. I really started to actually see, because at one point I felt like I was going crazy, but seeing that like, hey, look, these things right here, they do exist. You are going to face these things, but the beauty of this program, it teaches you how to deal with those situations. Like we would have exercises to where it's like you would have the big board and we write down things. Some of us had the same answers, and seeing that, like, wait a minute, he think like that. Okay, so he feels like, okay, so I know I'm not crazy. So it helped me in a sense to be more open to things.
We're just products of what happened to us. And we're hoping to change the narrative through this program. We're hoping to change the narrative, what we're doing. And the classroom experience, the session experience is very important. So if you're there and you're like to be a part of the Affirm program, we really encourage you to do so, because this is what it's all about, in making a difference in the lives of fathers and hopefully with their children as well.
We've been in this court now, juvenile court, for 23 months. And in that role, we've learned what resources are available in the community. We're trying to tie the work that we do with our community partners. Now, we work with Families Matter, and through them, we've made a relationship with Affirm. A father's involvement really matters. And what that does, it trains fathers how to be proactive in the development of their children, getting them engaged in not only just working with the kids, but also getting resources such as insurance for the kids, training on how to co-parent with the mothers. And often you find fathers who are on our support roles want to be more active in the management of their families and in the development of their children. And so in that regard, I really welcome the partnership with Affirm and with Families Matter. We help align resources in the community that are already there with those families that are in need, to make sure that, one, the children are in a healthy environment, two, they have the resources they need, and to shepherd them in pro-social involvement with their children, not just in school, but also in the community. We have $1.1 billion in uncollected child support. This is a resource that our families are missing, and more importantly, our children are not getting to support their needs. If we are not engaged with our families in the community, we will see our communities crumble, and they are our future.
So the first video that you saw, his name is Dr. Sam Williams. He's a doctor, not a medical doctor, but he has his doctorate degree. And his circumstance went down. He lost his job. His wife divorced him. He went through some difficult situations that caused him to, at one point when we first met him, he was literally sleeping in his car. Okay? So it goes to show so many times it's not just the economic piece, but it's that emotional piece that someone just needs to get to you and say, you can do this, right? And so that's what finally attended one of our sessions after sleeping in his car in the parking lot of the church where the sessions are being held. Mike Arnold, who is a master trainer, he has been trained by Dr. J. It must be one of my children. I'm a mama too. Trained by Dr. J, and he's phenomenal. All of the facilitators are. And so when he spoke with him and encouraged him to come into a class, he did. And we were thrilled that after coming in, and it was at Pursuit of God, where Andrea is one of the case managers, they embraced him. And he said to me, I've never had men cry with me because they heard and understood my story. So that's what Affirm, Families Matter Affirm, is doing within the community. And then the second video is that of, his name is Judge Tarek Sugarman. He is the juvenile court judge. So many times when, well, it's almost all the time, isn't it? When there's a child support issue, they have to go through juvenile court. Well, with our partnership now with juvenile court, we now have a person who's there. We have an office. We created a relationship with juvenile court that when they opened it up so that community organizations can have offices within their building, we were one of the first organizations that they gave an office to. Literally, I was called and said, do you want an office? Can imagine how quickly I said yes, right? Because we needed someone there that would have the ability to touch the men when they come in immediately, helping them understand what we might be able to offer and give them an understanding that we would be with them throughout the process. So this person we get so many awesome accolades from the judges and from the men and from different ones that meet Eric Johnson. Is that it? Thompson, thank you. Eric, who meet Eric and know the work that he's doing in that facility. So what we're doing is trying, and I hate to say trying because my board chair does not like that word, but what we're doing is making a difference in Memphis and Shelby County with the hope that we will be able to do this in other areas as well. So you want to say something?
Yeah, Judge Sugarman is a champion for us, and we encourage everyone to get you a champion in the courts, in the court system. So when we need somebody to speak for us, Carol can call on Judge Sugarman to speak. We also met with another judge, Carol, I can't remember his name, but he actually said the first time he really learned about the program, he cried.
Yes.
And they wanted access to it. So we talked about this on the panel, right? Is getting those resources, getting those connections outside of the programs and trying to have champions that speak on your behalf for the program, and especially champions with some credibility with the title judge.
Exactly.
There comes a lot of credibility with that. Just a couple more videos and then we'll get into the presentation. We are going to leave time for Q&A, but we really wanted you guys to hear from the fathers.
We can tell you how great it is, but we want them to tell you.
Derek.
A father's involvement really does matter because you only got one dad.
A father involvement really does matter. I gotta be there for him. Gotta make better choices and decisions that I made. This is my future.
Family Matter changed my life. Well, it kept me out of jail. It kept my children.
When I came to the program, I had no job. It's helping me to be a better father because it's giving me the tools and the things that I need to be able to pursue life better.
This project is funded under a grant contract with the state of Tennessee.
A father's involvement really does matter because
I actually came to be connected with the Affirm program through a gentleman by the name of Ed York. I had interest in being a part of the HVACs program. And he had told me about a firm program that they would help individuals such as myself by funding the program. To me, the Affirm program is like the big brother or a friend that motivates you and refuses to allow you to give up. I would also say it's like a cold drink of water on a hot summer day, very refreshing. To have the support of my mentors at Affirm, it's been very meaningful because I believe that we all need help in life. And to have someone to call and to check on you and to mentor you and go out their way to assist you and aid you is very meaningful to me. I would just like to say I'm eternally grateful and that you have an advocate in me. And I would encourage other men that's in my situation to come be a part of the program because it most definitely will have a positive effect on your life and your children's life.
Isn't that awesome? In order to understand, I don't know how many of you live in the South, but in order to understand his little analogy of a cold drink of water on a warm day, you have to know Memphis, okay? Because that is a refreshing sight. That's something that's very refreshing. And so those were the first one, what was it? No, there was the graduates. That was from a graduation. The one before this gentleman was a graduation ceremony. So we plugged several of them together because their talks were longer, but we didn't want to bore you all. Although I know this is not boring, is it? I didn't think so, not at all. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, next one. You ready?
Yeah. So addressing the fear of child support. So I have the privilege or the not privilege to manage several child support projects with the company. And one thing that we've learned is, and that we know in doing this work, is there's a real stigma and a real fear around child support, right? And so, as someone said on the stage yesterday, I can't really remember who it was, but Commissioner Gray, the previous commissioner, had worked really hard to change it from child support enforcement to child support services, right? But that also has to permeate and down through the organization. The line staff who are serving the fathers also have to be interested in services and not enforcement, and looking at all of the different tools, the policies, the procedures that are available to them to really be focused on helping the father. So as a part of Affirm, in collaboration, we took a look at that, and as we were working through how we designed this program, we intentionally wanted to put some things in place to help the father, educating the father by bringing child support individuals in to teach them about child support, to let them ask questions, to answer questions about, if they had questions about their cases, so we could serve as sort of a liaison and provide that information for them. The fathers in this program, this program is unique. I saw somebody looking, but yes, you do have to have an open child support case. And that was part of, as we've talked about, the return on investment for the state. They know that if fathers are paying their child support, then it reduces the burden. They know that if fathers are getting jobs, they're getting skilled. Carol, I just want to commend Carol and the team so much, because if you attend one of the fatherhood graduations, our graduations are, they're not just graduations, they're celebrations and a ceremony. And you see the fathers walk up, and you see them get their certificates, but you also hear about this person completed HVAC training, or this person completed this training, or this person completed that training. And we had one guest at one of the graduations I went to say, why isn't the media here reporting on all of these men in this room who have accomplished these things? And as one of the men said, men are pretty short. I mean, we learned, this was my introduction into sitting in a room with men and actually being able to hear from men. And they say women are from Venus and men are from Mars. Did I get that wrong? Right. And so, right. So I really began to understand that and listen, for the language. I know Venus is excellent at this, in communicating so well. And Geneva, you guys have been doing this so long, but for me, it was kind of a bit of an eye opener to really be in a room with men and listen to men talk about their stories. So as it relates to child support, we wanted to make sure we were doing everything we could in partnership to address that. Focus on right sizing the orders. Huge, right? Fathers, if the father's afraid to go in and actually see child support, talk to child support, there may be opportunity for their order to be right sized. If they're not going to get that opportunity to get it changed, if they're not engaging, if they're running, if they're hiding from child support. So as Dr. Jeff said, we wanted to bring the fathers back above ground. Carol just said, don't use trying. So we're working to continuously try to get the fathers to come back above ground through the child support system. So it's about child support services. It's integrating workforce, child support, case management support for the father as a part of the program.
Misha, may I say something?
Absolutely.
To her point, we had a father who one of the churches in Memphis had been supporting him, and the pastor of the church called me and asked me, would I get involved with this particular father? And I said, of course. And so I talked to him for a while and found out that he was really struggling with his child support orders. He didn't know what to do. So I asked him, I said, let's go and talk to a case manager at the child support office, because if we want to get something straight, let's go to the person that can actually help us. Well, we set up an appointment. I'm in the child support office. He called me 4 times from the street because he was afraid to walk into the office. Okay. So I finally convinced him. I said to him, okay, I've gotten up, I've gotten dressed, I'm out here, I need you in this office. And he said, Miss Carol, I'm so afraid that they're going to arrest me. And so I said to him, if they arrest you today, they have to arrest me too. So I need you to come into the office. With that, he walked in. We were able to talk with his case manager. As he's walking out, he's kissing the case manager. He's kissing me. He's so happy that he made that step. But the fear of it, he would still be in that situation if I had not convinced him to come in and let's have a conversation. The fear is real.
Yes.
And what we're trying to do is help them understand that there's a way to manage life, and it is through communication. Okay?
And education,
And
Karen.
education.
Yeah. You want to talk about co-parenting on this one?
Let me talk about
Okay.
with the facilitators and the awesome curriculum that Dr. J, which is called co-parenting, that Dr. J created, that we are under the evaluation with at this point. Well, actually, we finished the evaluation on 12/31/24. That should be an applause. Thank you very much. Okay. So now we're waiting for the final study, the final write-up on it. But with that came
Say, if you knew what we went through.
a co-parenting agreement. And it's a co-parenting agreement that's not sanctioned, say, by the courts, where it's a legal document, which makes it even, I think, more palatable to the parents, because it's something that they get to sit and talk about, work it out themselves so that they can do the best that they want to do for their children, right? Now, what we want to do is we want to keep them in the program for as long as we can, because we want to watch that progress. We want to understand how they're doing and how they are doing those things that they've written down that they want to do. Here's a sample of it. I think it has changed a little bit since 23 because it's literally a living document that we are constantly updating based on information that we're getting from the parents, the custodial parent and the non-custodial parent. So they have input into it. We have the facilitators, the master trainers help facilitate this, along with a social sciences doctor who's on our staff as well. So they work through it with the parents, helping the parents understand, helping to understand what the parents want to do for their children, and then putting that somehow on a document that the parents have created for themselves and for their children. Does that make sense? So it makes it so much better than something that's being dictated to them by the courts, okay?
Yeah. It's informal, but it's impactful,
Very
right?
impactful.
Because they sit down together. And with Dr. Jeff's guidance, you know, we're still learning here. We're coming back to make sure we are reassessing this at the 30-day, the 60-day mark, just to reinforce, are you doing what you signed in the document, right? That's sort of the second part of this, is that follow-up that Carol and the team have now instituted as a part of what we're hearing. Just a quick anecdote story that I thought was funny out of the co-parenting was, I think it was Dr. J who told me that there was an 11-year-old who heard her parents talking about a co-parent agreement and said, I want to add my piece into it because I know the two of you, so I want to be a part of this co-parenting agreement process, right? Which just resonated with me so much, because that meant that although they weren't a one family unit, they were communicating, and the child knew they were communicating, and the child wanted to give her input in finishing this co-parenting agreement. So I thought that was amazing.
And we've had children that would see our commercial on television and say to their dad, I need you in that program.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been awesome. It's been
Yeah.
awesome.
We had a Facebook post that went viral that had about 3,000 views, shares, and everything. And the mothers were tagging the fathers in the Facebook post saying, go get in this program. It was pretty cool, pretty cool.
This good, so hey, have to go down here. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Misha, you want to start it?
Yep. So we talked about data. What are we collecting on the program? What data? So just really quick, that 297 fathers. As we talked about, we are in an RCT, a randomized controlled trial. So fathers are either placed in group A or group B. If you're placed in group A, you get the full plethora of services. If you were randomized into group B, you did not get the fatherhood training. So the hypothesis behind the evaluation is, if fathers receive the fatherhood training in addition to the other services, would they have better outcomes, right? So that 297 number that you see are fathers who are randomized into group A. All right. So we had 297 fathers who have graduated from the fatherhood training. And that means they all were in group A. Group B does not get fatherhood training. Okay.
And then 94 of those affirmed fathers that went through the co-parenting curriculum, 97 of those signed the co-parenting agreement, because remember, it's voluntary. So you get to do it if that's what you want to do.
And just to give you a percentage behind that, that's 38% of our fathers have signed a co-parenting agreement. Mom has to sign. Now, we do have an incentive attached to that. Dad and mom have to come together, and if they sign, then they receive an incentive for signing. But both parents have to sign and agree. Yes.
Participant demographics we live in Memphis, Tennessee, so the demographics are high for African Americans. So we have 867 African Americans that have attended, 3 Hispanics that have been in the program, 3 Native Americans, 22 Caucasians, and 11 others. I'm waiting for someone to tell me what others are, but you know, but 11 others. Yeah, those others, yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Our next graduation is on June 10th, so if you all like to come, you're welcome to come. currently enrolled in class. We have 66. As of 1/1/25, we stopped the evaluation process. We have to go through it until the end of July because the ones that were in Group B have to be finished with all that RCT stuff. Dr. J, can you believe I know this stuff now? Expected to complete in 2 weeks. We have about 16 that we're expecting to complete the fatherhood classes in 2 weeks, and then expected to complete it in 30 days. We have 28. But in that period of time, we have others that's enrolling in classes. And now I made an executive decision as of 1/1/25 is that everyone coming into the program must go through the co-parenting piece. Why? Because Families Matter is a fatherhood organization. So you have to go through the co-parenting piece. Currently, we have 909. Do we have any more since we've been here? Tell me we had at least two more. Okay, we do. Okay. Total fathers enrolled is 909. Obtain new employment is 285. Obtain certifications of some sort is 144. Misha?
Yep, milestone payments. These are the incentives that the fathers receive at the different intervals in the program for completing.
In case we're being recorded and the state is watching us.
Milestones, absolutely. So I won't read through that, but you guys can see what we're doing in terms of milestones. As I said, we're tracking all of the data, the supportive services that we provide, transportation assistance, auto repair. So we just wanted to show the data behind the what's going out the door sort of in terms of supportive services to the fathers. I'd like to highlight though the obtained employment and the 60-day retention and the job skills training, and you saw all of the individuals finishing the credentialing. And these are the outcomes that we tracked. As we talked about early on when we said, what was our approach? What were we trying to achieve? And we said full wraparound services, the return on investment to the state. So individuals getting training, certifications, upskilling, all of that. And the other thing that we're not going to talk about today, but there's another piece of this, which is it keeps individuals working and out of trouble. So we did talk with the state about that. They're not, this reduces recidivism. Almost 80% of the fathers that we serve have had some involvement with the justice system, right? And so this is truly changing lives and reducing costs for the states and bringing nothing better than bringing fathers back to the children. Carol always says it's about the children.
Want to point out the last one on the milestone payments, the Crusaders. From our program, one of the things that we wanted to do was create a peer program. And so one of the things that we did was create a Crusader group. So those that want to participate with Families Matter and the Affirm program and what we're doing, we call them our Crusaders. Right now we have 55 of the fathers involved. Currently, we have 12 fathers that's working with the University of Tennessee. Get this, fathers that have never gotten a certificate except maybe from us are now working with the University of Tennessee in a program called PLAY, and that is preventing what's L? It's PLAY, PLAAY. And they will get a certificate, so they would get certified from the University of Tennessee after going through their program in order to help youth understand how to manage their anger. So imagine fathers who have been angered are now being taught and will get certified by the University of Tennessee how to help students manage their anger. You have it? Okay, isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
These fathers are coming out of the Affirm program. So that's monumental.
Monumental.
Okay, these are some of the things that we've learned, and I wrote it down last night. So now I have to go back and get my book. I have my book. It's my book. Okay, you want to talk about the delivery system?
Yes, I can talk about delivery.
You got to go down.
Yeah. So, lessons learned, experience in social services, not the same as experience in serving men, right? So there is a distinct difference, in other social services programs. Oh, we have 10 minutes. We're gonna let you guys ask questions. I think this is our last slide. So, one thing that I did want to highlight in delivery was the importance of face-to-face outreach. When we first started, people didn't even believe this program was real. They would call and say, is this real or is this a scam? Are y'all? And men were just so much more skeptical because programs like this do not exist for them and have not existed in Memphis for them.
Well, they thought it was a sting operation.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
thought it was,
Yeah.
they thought it was a
Absolutely.
sting operation.
Yeah. Carol, you go. I'm gonna let you, because you said you had a couple other things.
Well, and so we talked about the delivery. She talked a little bit about that, but some of the things that the father said to us is the perceived lack of support. When a father doesn't think that there is support, then they're not anxious to get involved, because if you're only going to come in and somebody like me running it, okay? But I knew that in order for the fathers to hear, there had to be fathers teaching fathers. Okay, so they had to see that and understand that it's doing it together just made us more powerful.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Fathers, they did not think that they needed training. I mean, I've had fathers say to me, what can you teach me? I know how to get babies. Well, we're not talking about how to get. We're talking about what you do after you have gotten. Okay. So help them understand that. Understand how understanding will impact their children. But they say, I love my child. I want to be in my child's life. But what do I need to do in order for that child to understand that I'm loved? Because just saying it, with love, there comes action.
Yeah.
So we wanted them to do that. I won't go through all of them. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay, I'm gonna come. Does
10
any?
minutes.
Yeah, we only have 10 minutes left.
Are we there?
Yes, we are.
We're there.
We're there. So we hope you guys have enjoyed the presentation. I'm going to open the floor for questions, and I have been told by Derek that I have to come down and give you the mic because we are on Facebook.
Okay, I got about 30 questions, but I'll just go once. I'll just ask one. What was the incentive that the mothers received for completing the co-parent agreement?
Interesting. You want to answer that?
We asked the state to support us with that. They would not. They would not. So what we're asking the facilitator, the master trainers, and the social services, the doctor that's working with us, to talk to the fathers, because if we are supplying them a milestone for it, share with the mom, okay? Because we're not able to do that because ours is the fatherhood program. Yeah. And we are, in my conversation yesterday with Commissioner, we're within the boundaries. We have to stay within the boundaries of TANF. And so he recognizes that those boundaries need to be widened because TANF rules were set in 1965 or something like that. So they're archaic. So we need to do something different. So, yes.
Question over here.
Well, actually, I had that question because I had a two-part question to that. So since he answered that part, in the agreement, out of the mother and the father, which one refuses to sign the agreement the most?
You know what? The father is the one that has to approach the mom, because we do not have the relationship with the mom unless she somehow come into a session or something like that. So the father has to approach the mom, and at that point is when they come together with the facilitator, with the master trainer, and that master trainer then supports them in what they want to do. Sometimes it works, sir. Sometimes it does not. But for those that are willing to do it, it's a benefit for the child. Okay?
Hi, how are you?
I am just wonderful.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. So, this was your RCT, and I suppose there was a control group and an intervention group, and you did explain that. And I do understand that your your intervention group received the intervention first as a cohort, and that was followed by your control group, correct?
Right.
Okay. Or was it in tandem?
And
Okay, so that was in tandem.
went together.
So they, in the system that they designed from the state randomized you being put into group A or group B. So if we had no control over it. You
We
could have
didn't
come
even know
in,
it was going to happen.
right. It didn't even happen until after we were awarded the grant. We didn't know about it at first. Carol had been out there telling everybody, you get a thing, you get a. And then the state came back and said, we're gonna randomize. So, and they created the system that randomized the.
So the state performed the evaluation, I suppose, as well. How many were in the control group and the intervention group? Do you have that information and that data?
We had to have 700 by the end of 2024. So 350 went into the control group, 350 went into the whatever the other group is
Treatment
called.
group. And what services did the members of the control group receive that was different from the intervention?
They received the fatherhood strengthening training.
Exactly.
So the other group did not receive the fatherhood, the 8 weeks training from Dr. Jeff's curriculum. So as I was saying, the hypothesis was that if they received the training and all of the wraparound services, would they have better outcomes? And so the other group received no fatherhood service. That's why Carol was saying in January, she made it mandatory because the evaluation is over. The formal evaluation is over. They're still collecting data. We're still meeting with them almost monthly, and that ends in July. But that was the reason why she said everybody now has to go through fatherhood training, because we had no control over that during the evaluation. Does that make sense? Okay. It will be published soon, and we hope it's going to be great, and we don't see any NAs in that report.
Exactly. We did hear from one of the evaluators after a site visit that he had never seen a program where, after talking with a focus group of fathers, he almost cried. So I taped that too.
So we have a question from online.
Thank you, Ms. Misha. This is from Bobby online. Bobby says, I commend you for the work that you are trying to do for men who have been hit by the system, but we need to address the core issues. Black people run to court as a first resort. The laws need to be changed to become the safety net and more programs created as a result of men getting chewed up and spit out by court and mothers who are done with the child of the father and want him to be diminished or disappear. I do agree, Bobby says, that there are much more programs for children and women, but almost none for fathers. I'm here to help if people are willing to hear the case studies that I have and the success I've had with changing laws, electing the right judges who hear custody and support cases, etc.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. I didn't hear a question in that, but
Yeah, I didn't either.
was there a question? Oh, Bobby, thank you for that. And I think all of us who have been a part of this training and been in this conference, we know that what he's saying is real, right?
Exactly.
A lot of what you say. That's the reason we're here. Yep.
Is that it? More? Yes, sir.
Trying to do and what wasn't working. I guess
Okay. Well, what we wanted was for the state to, if they were going to allow us to give the fathers a milestone for doing a co-parenting agreement, we wanted to do something for the mothers as well. But they would not allow that because they had funded a fatherhood program. So they just said it wasn't within their boundaries to allow us to do that. Yeah. So we have had several suggestions that we go to churches or some other way to get funding in order to give the mothers a milestone. So we're working with partners to do some of that.
We have another question back here.
I think it's a two-part. One, how have you all been able to couple the family preservation approach while attacking mothers being present in the oversight Well, let me ask this. This would probably be a better way for me to ask it. When it comes to joint custody and the fathers are going through the process, what are you all doing in terms of site visits, in terms of observational site visits between the child and the father? What have been your all practice in that work?
We're not doing site visits in terms of the mother. As a part of this program, it is a fatherhood program. So we're primarily focused on the father, but the mother can come into the program if she'd like. Our collaboration with the mother happens through the co-parenting agreement. Yes, we don't get deep into that. We don't get No, absolutely not. We're not the courts, right? So we don't do anything in the way of supervised visits. We did think about as one of the outcomes when we first started and with the evaluation was, could one of the outcomes be, does the dad get more access to the child, right? It was going to be hard to track to see how we could figure that part of it out.
Well, and answer that, I think that's one of the reasons that the Judge Sugarman, who's over juvenile court, wants us involved with them because they prefer that the father and the mother work some things out before it gets into where they're telling them what to do. So that's one of the reasons that relationship with juvenile court works so well, so that we can get to the father and perhaps the mother before it becomes something where they are told what they must do. Okay.
Question over here, Karen.
Hello. Forgive me if I didn't hear this in the presentation, but is there a component of the program that's for fathers who don't have open child support cases, or are you working on getting the program open to other fathers who aren't in that area?
We are praying and hoping, crossing our fingers and toes that will be the next generation of the program. Right now, it is a program that is involved with custodial and non-custodial, non-custodial parents.
Keep in
Okay.
mind, that was one of the things that was really specific
Yeah.
as a part of the grant,
Grant.
and why the state bought in.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. That's what got us to the thing.
How to provide a return on investment for you.
I just wanted to say that I had the opportunity. Oh, she was.
Oh, yes, I was gonna talk about you, Avis.
I was
Yes,
just gonna say, I had the opportunity because I work with Dr. J to actually go to Memphis. And I, first of all, want to commend Carol and Misha, but most importantly, the staff, because the leaders always get the shine, right? Because they get to do the presentation. But I know how hard it is for staff to really do an RCT. And I had the privilege of sitting in as we were we go for fidelity issues to make sure the curriculum is being taught. But I sat in a parenting agreement, and I sat in all the way through so that father actually shared his stipend, the incentive with the mother. It was such a refreshing place to be. There was no animosity to have them talk to one another, things that and even when they were negotiating, they didn't even do it mean-spirited. Then their negotiation was like, well, wait a minute, let's think about that. Because now this is what we said, but now what will really work, right? And so to see that happen, and that's really, really difficult to do, because it's one thing to just be a fatherhood program and work with fathers. It's another thing to be a fatherhood program who works with mothers at the space that they're working at. So I just wanted to commend them and then say that I was just honored to see that work. And I actually went back and we used the co-parenting agreement. We don't have no stipend with it. But we have been able to use it with men going to court. So me actually witnessing that, I went back, we used Dr. J's curriculum. We were not using the co-parent agreement, but I used it, and it works as a court document. When that father, even if he goes by himself and say, this is what we want, we've been able to see that he's been able to leverage a lot deeper in the court system because he has the paperwork with him.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
One more.
You have another question?
Yes, if we have about 90 seconds, sir, and if you can raise your question, we can have a quick answer, and then I have an announcement for the conference.
Real quick comment. This is absolutely incredible. I think it's a model for the nation. I do. As a father who lived that co-parenting experience before it was a popular word, listen, I would have loved this because I hated child support department because I had the children and was still paying child support. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Dr.
much.
Jeff.